At 2:01, so we are ready to rock and roll. I know some more people are going to be joining us, but you guys are in for a big treat today because Miss Carol has prepared quite the plethora of information, and I hope you have your pens ready. We will, of course, have this recorded, and we will send out the recording. You can always find it on my blog too, which is newhomesolutions.com/blog. So as soon as it's available, I do go ahead and post it on there. So if you ever want to check for that. Yeah, Carol is going to talk to you today about how your marketing is measuring up and the marketing return on investment for the C-suite. So Miss Carol, take it away.
All right. Well, let's see. I think you have control of the slides, so advance away. Do you want to do quick introductions, or do they all know who we are?
They probably do by now, but let's go ahead.
All right. So I'm Carol Morgan. I'm founder and president of Denim Marketing. We are a boutique firm located here in North Atlanta, where it is a lovely 91 degrees and hot, 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 which is why it's known as Hotlanta.
So, and I am Kimberly Mackey. I am the founder of New Home Solutions Consulting. I am a sales and marketing management consultant, and I like to say that I'm the person who comes in and makes sure that sales is the engine that's driving the train, rather than what's running it off the tracks. So anything strategy-wise, sales and marketing strategy-wise, and management consulting, that's what I do for builders. And I do also run a program for a large brokerage, a preferred builder program here for Berkshire Hathaway in the Central Florida, Tampa Bay market. So we'll keep going, Miss Carol.
Yep. So I think it's funny. So Kimberly's in charge of keeping the train on the tracks versus it running off the track. And my job is to keep people from doing random acts of marketing and instead to do marketing with intent. So with that, that plays perfectly into return on investment. And what the C-suite, what the president of your company, what your, what are all those people who are making the decisions of where the dollars go and how many dollars you get for your marketing program? What do they want to see? So ROI, or return on investment, is a metric that evaluates the efficiency of a spend. And, obviously it ties directly to a particular investment. We all know that our CFOs don't like to spend money that they can't account for. So this is what we're going to dive in today. So what does the C-suite really want to know? Did it work? What did it cost? What's their return on investment? How many sales did you get? And then what else do they want to know? What they really want to know is, did it work? How many sales can be attributed to it? And we're going to talk about what else they might want to know, and then talk a little bit about how you can put reports together for them so that you can prove your worth.
Well, and also maybe find out for yourself, is what you're doing working, right?
Absolutely. And that's the reason we do a lot of reports every month, is we want to know the effectiveness of what we're doing so we can do more of what works well and do less of what isn't working, or fix it if it's possible to fix it. But leads, obviously everybody wants more leads. You can refer to a lead as, the contact information that you get. And in some cases, it's the demographic information of the customer. It tells you what they're interested in, what product or service. There are sales leads and there are marketing leads. And Kimberly and I are going to talk a little bit about the differences and similarities in those today, because even within our industry, we all use different terms for leads, and whether it's a sales lead or a marketing lead and how we work with them. A marketing lead is typically someone who's expressed interest in your product or in your community, and they have visited your storefront or somehow made contact with you online.
Well, I can't get the slides to move forward. Sometimes they cooperate and sometimes they don't. Here we go. So in a qualified lead, in my vernacular on the sales side, is I want a buyer who's ready, willing, and able. And by able, what time frame? Are they going to be able to buy right now? Are they going to be able to buy in 6 months? Is it 2 years out? So what semblance of qualified are they? And of course, our sales team plays a very large role once that lead comes in, to be able to drill down, to find out and qualify that buyer, to find out what level of ready, what level of willing, and what level of able they are to be, and so that those leads can then be nurtured. But to me, it's not just a lead. Sometimes I work with a marketing team for a builder, and that team's like, well, we're driving all this traffic and we're getting all these leads for you. But, in the reality of it, they're getting too many leads that aren't qualified, that are really wasting a lot of time for the salespeople, and they're having a hard time drilling down to find the ones that are. So too much traffic is actually just as bad as not enough traffic.
Yeah,
And I had that
absolutely.
conversation with a builder this week. So yeah, it's a tough one.
And that's so true. And, the one thing we've heard during COVID over and over again is, we've got less leads, but they're more qualified and we're actually converting more of them. So I am interested in seeing, are you guys still seeing the same things out there? I know we had a banner June in the Southeast. Across the entire Southeast, homes are selling in record levels. I kind of am assuming, which I know is always a bad idea, that that's what's happening elsewhere. So feel free to chime in the chat and let us know.
I know I've got some builders in the north who we ran our numbers this week. It was time because we hit that halfway mark. And I have one builder who we had some pretty aggressive goals, and we still found that we're 50% ahead.
Wow.
So I was super excited to see that. And I've got another one who our goal for the year was to grow at about 50%. And now it looks like it's possible that we're going to hit probably 80 or 90%. So it's pretty fantastic with what's going on. We did not expect to be there when all of this COVID happened. We thought we're going to have to revise. And we didn't. So that's awesome.
Well, let's just hope with everybody, starting to pull back a little bit and shut down a little bit, that it doesn't shut off our flow of consumers that are coming to look at houses and buying. Because obviously, what we all want are customers. We want to reach as many potential customers as possible through our marketing and create brand awareness, engage with that target audience, and provide them with industry knowledge and expertise. And then Kimberly is going to talk a little bit now about the customer experience, which she does an entire magnificent program on.
Well, and when we talk about marketing, Carol, it's not just about reaching anybody. It's about reaching the right people, the people who will connect, whether it's through location, whether it's through price, whether it's the type of product that you offer. We have to hit the people to whom that resonates. And if you are not doing that and you're just throwing stuff out to see what sticks, that's when you're getting a lot of unqualified buyers or prospects coming in. You're getting people who are just curious because maybe you had a really cutesy ad or something that really caught their attention. Again, not quite enough. Is it attracting the buyers who are the right buyers? And is your messaging leveling up with what the reality is going to be? Because if you're sending out a message in your ad that's all fun and happy-go-lucky, and then they get there and they're dealing with somebody with their glasses down on their nose and they're looking at them very stern and they've got a bun and they're just like a old school teacher, and it's not very fun, or the homes are older, out, not, or more dated, that's going to be a complete disruption for that prospect, even if they were a qualified buyer, because the reality didn't live up to whatever your marketing is putting out there. So we have to think about congruency that I talk about all the time in our messaging, our branding, making sure that we're supporting who we really are as a company. Or in some cases, maybe the company needs to come up to what we're promoting as the brand. So that depends. But it's really, really important to make sure that messaging is on target and supports what the company culture is, what the company product is, what makes you unique and special in the market.
Yeah, Kimberly is absolutely right on this. There's nothing like having a phenomenal marketing campaign, getting that customer in the door, and then the customer experience not living up to the branding and to the campaign. So then they're not a customer anymore. They're down the street and they're somebody else's customer. So we're going to talk a lot about measurement. What are you measuring? Do you want to let me know? Throw it out there in the chat box. And are you measuring website traffic? Are you measuring advertising, email marketing, promotions, events? What's most important to you? Do you know what the hot buttons are of the C-suite on your team? And are you measuring those things? They're a quiet group today.
I know. So, well, Giorgio just said that her sales have increased, or his sales, sorry, have increased since they switched to by appointment only. You know what? I'm hearing that a lot, and a lot of salespeople super happy to be working by appointment. So that's really good feedback. I've been telling salespeople for years that they should have 5 first appointments every single week. And if I can get them to do that, then I know that their sales is going to increase, because that usually equates to 1 sale a week. So, oh, there's some stuff coming
We've got
in for you,
so
girl.
website traffic, social media, website traffic, email marketing. I'm sure everybody else's are pretty similar to these, but knowing what to measure. So it's good to know what you're measuring, but then you've also got to know what your goals are. So, what are your goals? Are your goals to increase website traffic? Is your goal to have more interaction and engagement? Transparency, brand awareness, create more leads. I think that's pretty much what we're all focused on, right? We all want more leads. If you're having an event, your goal may be attendance. One of your goals may be better search engine results placements. So those are what you see when you Google your name. And reputation management is typically a goal as well. So most marketing programs have multiple goals. So figuring out which tactic meets that goal and how to use that effectively, it can be like putting a puzzle together. So let's go to the next slide, Miss Kimberly. And then what is the path from the time the buyer sees the product information or the social media site or the ad? How do they eventually get to the website, or how do they get to your sales center? That's part of the customer experience. And again, part of what we need to do as marketers is help others in the company see what that process is. What is that path? How do they get there? How do they get to the website? What do they see when they're there? How do they flow through the website? Data and analytics help us to see the steps. Will also help us track the responses and to see that sales funnel fill up, which is what we want it to do. So let's determine, what tactics are the most effective and those that need to be tweaked for better performance. All right, so website success. We all want to have a successful website. Looking deeper into that traffic, there's so many things. In fact, one of my employees said to me this week, oh my gosh, when I go to Google Analytics, I know I'm looking at the top metrics, but I feel like I could drill so much deeper into what people are really doing on the sites. And it's so true. Kind of some of the basics are, how much traffic are you getting? How much time do the average visitor spend on site? What pages are they looking at? Completed contact forms, we all like those. Did they download driving directions? What are they doing? What's the user experience on the site? What does the heat map show? Looking to see, oh, this is interesting. This is another comment by Giorgio. We've rebranded our by appointment only and renamed it one-on-one VIP tour and consultation. It's done wonders. Gives an air of importance and individual attention. I love that. And talk about marketing. Marketing that differently makes people feel important, and they like that one-on-one attention. And I suspect with COVID still kind of raging out there, that people want to make sure that they're having a one-on-one experience. So I think that your sales numbers and the fact that you've got all these tours proves that that's working, and that's the metric you're looking for with that one-on-one appointments, is seeing more of those. So congratulations on that.
I like that they added and consultation. So it's not just a tour. There's a goal here in mind. We're gonna consult about what your needs are for your home, because there is a difference. In apartment world, we take tours, right? And and like when they sell RVs and things like that, they talk about the tour. But if your goal is to have a tour, well, that's probably what you're going to get. You're going to get a lot of people looking, but a consultation, now that's more important. So I like that you added that in there. That's really cool.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. And that's probably something you can also measure from your website traffic. You can look at how many people are clicking on that button and signing up and asking for more information, or clicking to call, or however you're encouraging them to do that. All right. So on your website traffic, what are you measuring, and how can you make smart decisions from this data? The big thing that we really want to look at, in our industry is year over year, not just month over month traffic. You want to look at them both. So there's different reasons for looking at them. So, month over month, if your traffic's down this month from last month, then why? Is that cyclical? If you're going from, say, October to November and your traffic goes down, that's pretty normal in the Southeast, because as it cools off, so do our buyers. But it could be something as simple as you sold out of 2 or 3 communities, so your traffic's down. But knowing why is important. It's always the why, not just that it did it, but why it did it. And is it something that we can affect and make better? Year over year traffic's important, because we want this year to be better than last year. So how is that trending? And I don't know if you guys are all tracking your website, but we're seeing phenomenal traffic. March kind of dropped off a little bit, but April, May, June, traffic and sales are out the roof. In fact, I just looked at the traffic to the Denim marketing website, because we were entering our COVID webinars in an award, and our traffic was up, I think it was 5 times over last year for the same time period, because we did that COVID webinar series and more people were looking for us.
Yeah,
so
mine too.
I know Kimberly's was up too. So I'm assuming that you guys have crazy good traffic too, just, based on the fact that our traffic is good, and I'm seeing lots of great traffic across the whole US. Let's see.
Did you see Aaron's question? Yeah.
Aaron says 3,480 visitors to their site in Q2, but only got 51 leads. How can I create more calls to action without being annoying? Well, I would literally put a call to action of some sort on every single page. And I don't know that it's annoying, but things like download, driving directions will let you know that they're interested in buying. Not everybody's going to fill out that contact form, and we have some ideas on contact forms and how you can get more people to fill them out later. We're going to talk about that, so we'll hold that part B of the answer to that till we get to that slide.
Let me chime in there.
Yeah.
So Aaron too, it's not about being annoying, it's about thinking about it from the customer experience. If I have to click through three clicks in to find what I need versus having the button right there that gives it to me. So sometimes we think we're being pushy and we're being annoying, when in fact, think like a customer and think, hey, if I needed this information, where would I look for it on the website? Do I have a button? Do I have a place to click to get me to where I want to be in the least amount of clicks possible? Because if they've got to click 3, 4, 5 times, you've lost them. Your bounce rate's going up sky high. I'm not a marketing company, but even I know that. Yeah. So make it easy for them to get to where they want to go. Think about that user experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And think about it when you go shopping for things. What's your level of, frustration if you can't find what you're looking for in 2 or 3 clicks, or, you can't find it in the size you want, or their search function doesn't work well. The same things that frustrate us when we go shop on retail sites frustrate our buyers when they come to our sites. And back to traffic, you want to be trending up month over month and year over year, if at all possible. It's not going to always trend up month over month, because our industry is definitely cyclical. Knowing where your traffic comes from is important. Is your most successful traffic from organic? Typically it is, but you might get the most traffic from advertising. So your Google pay-per-click or your Bing pay-per-click or your, ads that run on an ad network might send you the most traffic, but it's typically not going to be the most qualified traffic. We see the qualified traffic coming from organic, from direct, obviously, because they always know who you are, and then from social. So it's always just interesting to me to see where that traffic is coming from to the websites, how much of it's there, and then what's really converting. Another metric you probably are looking at is new traffic versus returning traffic.
Works. Oh, there you are. We lost you for a minute.
Weird. I'm sorry. I didn't lose you guys. Strange. Sorry about that. So I don't know what you missed, but we'll just keep going. New versus returning traffic is important as well. And what that tells you is, how many new people who've never seen your site before have you attracted to your site? Again, this is something we're seeing go up during COVID. I know for the Denim marketing site, for the 5 months or so I just looked at, 85% of our traffic to our website was new traffic. So I thought that was awesome. I gave myself 5 stars for that. Then the other thing you want to look at is mobile traffic. How much of your traffic is from mobile? We're seeing that at 60-40 in a lot of cases, 60% mobile, 40% desktop. Some people are still closer to 50-50. But knowing that and knowing that you really need to think about that mobile first experience, because we're all shopping from smartphones, is important to keeping people on your on your site, while they're out and about. We're getting lots of good comments here. So let's see, our social media campaigns have the links directly to the page section of the site I want them to go to. Yes, and that is absolutely best practice, Giorgio, for social media. You want to send them directly where you want them to go. Pay-per-clicks and boosted Facebook and Instagram ads always increase our bounce rate by 15 to 20%, and it's totally acceptable. And more posts and pay-per-clicks are hitting in the afternoon, because with the country reopening in most areas, people are back and looking for new homes after they get home from work. Yeah, that's interesting to see. And I think it's fun to look at time. What time are the most people on your website, which is a point that he just brought up. Knowing that can also help you to know when you should push out any changes. If you've got something important coming up, maybe it doesn't have to be on your site by 8 a.m. Maybe it needs to be on your site by 3 p.m. But that can help you with your workflow as well. All right, let's look at top content. Again, what are you measuring for top content? What are your top landing pages? Have you launched a new community or a new product that isn't performing as well on your website as you think it should be? Why is that landing page not performing? Is it because the content there or the images there aren't what they expect? What can you do to change and tweak that? What is the top content on your website? It's interesting. We almost always see that photo galleries are the top content, the homepage and then photo galleries. Everybody wants to see the photos. Are your top blog posts, what are those? Are they recent blogs? Are they older blogs? One of the reasons I look at that is because if I have a client whose blog from 5 years ago is trending, then we might need to go in and update that blog to make sure it's relevant, versus talking about, some community that they closed out of 5 years ago. We've actually had that happen. A good example, just give you an example. In Forsyth County, Georgia, senior citizens pay far less tax. So having a blog about, active adult living and fewer taxes has been very, very hot for a builder we represent. But the blog was about 5 years old and still getting a ton of traffic. And at some point last year, the communities that were mentioned in that blog all sold out. So we went in and updated that blog to talk about the current communities that they have in that county, and then tweak any of the tax information that we needed to change. But that's not something we would have necessarily known was getting all that traffic if we didn't look at top blogs every month. So that's part of why I do that. So, and if I know that perhaps we've written something on recycling Christmas trees that ranked really high in Google, I'll make a note that we're going to want to update that blog, in October, November, December, before people start searching for recycling Christmas trees again. So that's why you look at that content that way. Same for top products. You want to know what those are. All right, so we've talked some about measurement. We're going to talk some more about measurement. How much time do they spend on your site, and where do they spend that time? Overall, how long do they stay on your site, and how much time do they spend on individual pages? Again, this is a great way if you're trying to figure out what home plans a buyer likes or what communities they like. You can look and see, if you have one community that's time on site is way higher and others that are way lower, maybe the time on site's higher because they can't find what they're looking for, or it could be high because they've found exactly what they're looking for and want to dig into it. So figuring that out and knowing why they're spending time on those pages is good to know. Where they spend the most time, what else can you learn from where they spent time on your site, right? And has this changed because of COVID? I'm real interested in knowing, how are those virtual tour pages, performing compared to photos? I suspect that they're starting to come on up there as far as time on site if you have virtual tours on your site.
It's really interesting, and I was working with a builder this week that we have just added interactive floor plans, and that was a new thing for them. And normally it takes time for pages to start to rank and see. It was almost instant. It was crazy to see the traffic, and I'm sure, part of it, our salespeople were using them a little bit, but it was truly crazy. Yeah, those Matterport 3D, yeah, they had lots and lots of traffic.
You know, and I think that's something to think about. If you haven't yet implemented those, you really need to make sure if they weren't in your 2020 budget, that they're in your 2021 budget, and that you have a way to start getting Matterport and video and, you know, full-blown virtual tours, if that's in your budget, on your site, because people expect them now. I mean, they're just as expected as, you know, granite or Cambria in your kitchen. They're just not going to, they're not going to settle for no video. They want to be able to completely shop you at home now, narrow it down to 2 choices, and then go look at those 2 choices. They're not narrowing it down to 3 or 4 or 5 communities anymore. They may just be narrowing it down to 2 homes. All right, so let's take a look at website contact forms as promised. You know, from my perspective, I want to know how many are completed, how many are abandoned, you know, and what information do you ask for? Is it the right information? You know, and how do you make decisions from that? I know Kimberly has some ideas about, you know, how you can use forms differently, and she's worked a lot on this because it definitely does impact that buyer.
So, and again, I'm not a marketing company, but one of the things that I encourage my builders to do is to have contact forms readily accessible on every page on their website. So it may be that it's a short contact form if it's on a floor plan page. So if they're particularly interested in one specific floor plan and they want more information about that floor plan, that's helping us to drill down. It tells us a whole lot about that particular buyer. So we don't need a long form on that. But I also like having a form that mirrors your registration form that you have in your sales centers, that your sales team is using as your long form. Now, I don't think you need all those questions mandatory. In fact, I strongly suggest that you don't. But all up until maybe a few years ago, I'd been told just get name, rank, serial number, right? You wanted their name, you wanted their contact information, whether it was an email or a phone number, and don't worry about anything else. Well, I disagree with that now because I've seen time after time, people will give you the craziest information if you just ask for it. So, but again, you can't make it mandatory. You need their name, you need their email, and preferably a phone number, although a lot of times if they're not truly engaged, they'll give you a fake phone number. But when they start filling out that long contact form, now that's a hot buyer. That's a buyer who really wants the information. And if you get one of those contact forms, your online sales counselor or your sales team or whoever is responding, you better be responding fast, because that's a buyer who really wants information and wants to engage with you. So, you know, I kind of approach this differently now because I had a builder who insisted on this really long form, and I'm like, no, you don't want to do all of that. And he showed me how many people were filling out that form, and I kind of had a change of heart, and I've been testing it. I've tested it with builders who are they're custom builders, they're smaller builders. I've tested it with larger builders, and you know what? I'm getting the same result with every builder that we try it with. So I strongly encourage that you do make it easy for them to find out how to get more information, make it easy for them to fill out that form, make it, you know, drop downs and check boxes, and, you know, so they don't have to type in a whole lot of information. But it's crazy what people will tell you if you just give them a place to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Giorgio comments to ask which home, which model, which community they're interested in. And, you know, and even if they don't know what they're interested in, that tells you something. I would also say, and this is kind of one of my pet peeves, if you've got contact forms set up on every single page of your website, then your website should tell you, you know, if they're contacting you from the Abernathy community, you should know that they're interested in the Abernathy community, the Sophia plan, or whatever it is, versus it just coming through as a generic website contact form. I think that we frustrate our buyers sometimes when our websites really aren't built to give us the information that the buyer's trying to give us. So that's something to think about as well. It's, you know, what does that contact form from a various different page tell you? Does it tell you what page they're on? Because you need to know that. All right, then what else beside a contact form helps you to know what they're looking at. Anything they download, you should be looking at. Driving directions are an important metric for builders, because if they've looked at your driving directions, then they're probably planning to come see your model home or come see you in the sales center. Home plans, if they're downloading home plans, again, that shows you which home plans are the most popular on your site, which ones are the most likely for that buyer to buy. If you're a supplier, then downloading product brochures could be something you want to look at as a metric. And then there's lots of other downloads that could be important to you as well. So think about that, as you're digging in deeper to these metrics that are available to you on web. What are you going to measure and why? Then, kind of where the pedal hits the metal, and I think this is an area that our industry might be a little bit behind on, is user experience. Where did the user go? User experience focuses on having that really deep understanding of the users, what they need, what they value, what their abilities are, what their limitations are. It also takes into account your business goals and objectives. And there's some really neat ways to measure user experience. I don't know if y'all seen the heat maps, or if you get a heat map report on your website, it will show you which parts of each page are looked at and visited the most. And they can tell that from where people hover the mouse as they're clicking through your pages. If you haven't seen any of those, you might want to ask whoever's doing your your search engine optimization if that's something they can provide you with, because they're really quite fascinating. You want to know that that their experience was good. And kind of an example of a good user experience is they visit your website, they scroll through a few pages, they understood what the site was about, and they got what they wanted. That's kind of in its simplest form, and whether that means they got to your site, in 2 clicks, they found the home they wanted, in another click, they contacted you through their contact form or through your online sales counselor. You want them to find it very quickly and very succinctly, so they're not, looking for something that's not there or isn't where they expect it to be. So, your website needs to be easy to use. It needs to have useful information on it. Is it findable? Is it navigatable? Is it accessible? Can people with disabilities access your website? This, again, another hot topic in website development and design. I'm not a website company, and I'm thankful, because I will tell you what, they have to take a lot of things into consideration when they're developing and designing these sites to keep them compliant now. And then credibility. Is the content on your site credible? All of this plays into user experience, and what they see, what they feel. You don't want them to get stuck on your site thinking about something that isn't working for them on the site. You want them to have that seamless shopping experience. They find what they're shopping for, versus getting stuck on the fact that they submitted a contact form and they don't think it went through. Or they think they should be able to find a floor plan and it isn't there, where it should be. Or they're
looking for pricing.
Right.
And you don't put base prices on there because you think somehow this is secret information. So put your base prices on there. Put at least, enough information that they know, am I qualified? Can I get there? So, and even having a mortgage calculator on there so they can figure out what their monthly payments would be, because most buyers have no idea what a payment on a $300,000 home is.
Yeah. And Kimberly makes a really good point. I think, kind of back in the day, people believed if they left information off their website that the buyers would get in their car and drive to the sales center to find out that information. The reality today is, if that information is not on your website, they're not going to get into their car and drive to see you. They're going to cross you off the list of who they're even looking at. So it's just imperative that as much information as possible that you can give them on your floor plans, on your homes, on your pricing, on your buying process, on what, promotions you have available, whatever it is that you want to say to them, should all be on their website and easily accessible and easy to find.
I think COVID has done something for our industry as far as understanding that there are people who are willing to buy sight unseen. I just did an NAHB webinar this past week with Lisette Minnick from Mackey Homes, and she shared that they had 7 or 8 buyers in the last month that had never set foot in their community.
Wow.
So I thought that was huge. My own house sold, the buyer has never seen it. So they're gonna see it on Tuesday, the day of closing, for the very first time. So I sure hope they like it.
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then email marketing, again, what are you measuring and what can you learn from this data? Looking at the open rate, click-through rate, the rate of unsubscribes, how many people are complaining. And of course, that's usually a factor. If you've put somebody on your list, you don't really have permission to email, right? Conversion, how many people did what you wanted them to do from that email? Did they click somewhere else? Was that what you wanted them to do? Did you want them to get in their car and drive to you? Whatever that action is your conversion rate. Bounce rate, how many of them bounced? Forward and share. We always like that because that means they're really interested and maybe they're sharing that particular home plan with their mother or their sister saying, hey, this is the exact one I'm interested in. What is that campaign return on investment? What does each click cost you if you're using a list that you've paid for? And then, how does a marketing email really differ from what they should be getting from the sales team?
Well, I always think of the marketing campaigns as being the sexy stuff, right? So that's the ones that look like they are pre-done. That's the ones that are templated, that have lots of pretty pictures and that sort of thing in it. However, you can do now with some templates using BombBomb and send out, so you can still have all of those great click-throughs on a template that then you load the BombBomb video in there and it's individualized. That's where your sales team comes in. Your sales team needs to be sending out, and if they are not using video marketing and video email and video communication, they are sadly missing out. And that is one of the things that I'm so happy, because I've been preaching that forever, that they need to be doing that and doing it like our online sales counselors use it, because those people have been doing this stuff for years. Our on-site sales team needs to be doing it as well, because people will click on a video. It's something about, a button to click on that people are going to want. Now, you don't have to go all fancy with BombBomb if you don't want to go that far. You can actually just take a screenshot of your video and then embed the link to that video wherever it lives. And even if it's a Dropbox link, it doesn't have to be on YouTube. It doesn't have to be on Vimeo or any of those other sites. It can be, Dropbox or your cloud or even a Google. You can put it in Google and share the link from it on there. And you can do that in a text message. But our salespeople need to be sending those grassroots, very personal, more one-on-one type of emails out. And the more video they can embed in there, the better off they're going to be.
Yeah, and you look at the generations that are in the market buying now and how important video is to them. And it's clear that this is something we all need to do. Now that we've bridged the gap and we have video on our sites and we have virtual tours on our site, the obvious next step is, embedding those videos and sending them directly to the buyers, showing them what they're interested in during that buying cycle. And, email marketing is a huge place. We have room for improvement. We've just done a survey, and I don't know when we're going to release the results, but I was glancing through them recently, and it's amazing still, even in 2020, if somebody connects with our website, they may or may not get an email that's personalized from an individual. And even if they give a phone number, they're probably not going to get a phone call, even if you have an online sales counselor. Some really shocking statistics. So definite room for improvement there.
And that, think about that. So if you're a builder, and I see we have quite a few of them on here, or you're the sales manager or the marketing manager, think of that cost per lead. So this is all about that return on investment, right?
Yep.
So every one of these leads costs you money, hard money. And if your sales team is not reaching out to those leads, it's just lost, because somebody's going to reach out to them. Somebody from another builder, brand X down the street, they're going to reach out to them. And that car is going to end up in their parking lot instead of yours.
So true. All right, let's dig into advertising. Again, what are you measuring? What's important to you? What was your goal? And then, for the advertisers that you're working with, what types of reports do they provide? And, are they in depth enough? Can you ask them for more? For your digital ads, have you added additional digital tracking to your website? You can add tracking codes for everything that you put out there. You can use bit.ly links or you can use Google links. That way, you know exactly where all this traffic's coming from. And then, when you're looking and digging into those individual reports, how many results, leads, clicks did you get last month? And what was the reach of that ad? How many impressions did it generate? How many clicks? And what was the cost per result, or cost per click? And then how do your results compare with industry averages? These are all things you should be looking at, and you should be asking, ask your advertising sources, what's the industry average in our area? Is our traffic as good as, my competitor? What can I do to make it better? And I guess you'll see from this that, looking at data really involves asking a lot of questions, because the more questions you ask, the more you're going to understand what that data means and how you can use it to make decisions on how to move forward and how to use those key performance indicators to better your business process and better your marketing. Then promotions. We all love promotions. And sometimes I feel like they get a little bit left out when it comes to measurement of return on investment, but it might depend on the company. But, obviously, if you've got a promotional page up, you want to know how many clicks you got to that page, whether it's a promotion or an event. How many people clicked on that? How many people RSVP'd? How many people actually showed up? Was the weather a factor? Was it 91 degrees like it is here in Atlanta with, 100% humidity, so nobody came because your event's outside? How are you going to measure that and gauge that? How many sales did you get? How many leads did you get from that event? If you're running, a campaign or promotion that has a hashtag, then, how many people, retweeted or used that hashtag? There's lots of things you can look at to kind of get an idea for what the feel is or what the vibe is about that community and that promotion.
And in the age of COVID, you have to think for people who aren't comfortable coming out to an event, even if you're allowed to host something like that, are you making it available to them virtually? Are you streaming from your Facebook Live, from your Facebook page? Did you promote that you're going to be streaming from that? We can't be afraid of those virtual ways of, I'm seeing some people get really creative with either scheduling realtor events so that the realtors have to schedule an appointment throughout the day and it runs throughout the day, or a week-long open house instead of it just being, a one-day thing or a couple of hours, so that we can stagger the number of people there. So think about that too in the age of COVID, what we need to do to keep people safe, that we're communicating that.
Yeah, I'm seeing, we're seeing at least, in Atlanta, and, again, we've got some really creative people doing open houses, and they're doing them on Facebook Live and seeing that they're getting, buyers from that. So, just because you can't have a model grand opening or a community grand opening in person doesn't mean that you shouldn't have it. There's still, again, as Kimberly said, creative ways to do it that you can get people interested, because you can promote that you're going to go live and have that open house. You can promote that everywhere. Then once you get that video and the promotion that day, you're going to garner interest in it while it's running, and then you're going to also have it available on all of your sites after the fact. You can load that video everywhere so that they can see that full community. It's just another way. It shows that softer side. So versus just having the corporate video or the corporate video of your community that maybe is a little stuffier, you could have your agent talking and walking around and even mingling and answering people's questions.
And people love that. And Giorgio talked about having a chef. I've seen several people do this. I saw a virtual wine tasting, which I thought was a really cool thing. That was one on our COVID webinars. I talked about that one. I've had people do their victory gardens.
I love that one.
In their COVID gardens, right? And all kinds of really cool, a pizza. We did a pizza, cooking event. So get creative, get some content in there that's going to have people that's going to cause a draw for people to come in, and maybe you get somebody who are just interested in whatever that content is, but you also are opening that up and branding yourself, even if you're not generating sales. And there is there's a huge room out there that we as builders don't always think of our brand and supporting our brand as important as how much traffic are we driving. Those are kind of two different objectives.
Yep. Yeah, and the same is true on your social media. You've got multiple different objectives there. How many followers or likes do you have on each site? Are those increasing or decreasing? And that number's, not necessarily that important, but if you only have 100 followers on Facebook, then you're probably not going to get your messages out very far. So it does become a little bit important. Impressions, reach, and engagement, are those up or down? What's the sentiment of the people commenting on your post? Is there one particular post that accounts for the bulk of the actions on a site that particular month? Those are things you need to drill down in and to look at. What are the most popular posts? What are the least popular posts? And is there a why to that?
Am I on the right slide for you? Are you on this slide?
I'm on this slide. Did I miss a slide? Did I skip SEO?
You skipped SEO.
Oh, I was so excited about social media. I skipped SEO. I'm so sorry. We will go back and pick up SEO. So we'll finish social real quick though, then go back. So again, how effective is that traffic on your social media? Is it doing what you want it to do on the site itself? And what is it doing when it comes to your website? Because the measurement I like to look at, and I think is the most important, is how much social media traffic is coming to your website and what site is it coming from. Typically, it's going to be coming from Facebook. And you're probably driving it from Facebook to your site with Facebook ads. So, once they get to your site, what do? Are they filling out a contact form? Are they looking at multiple pages? How long do they stay? And what are you measuring? Social traffic today is hugely qualified. It's some of the best traffic we see. So getting that traffic from your Facebook page organically to your site, or getting it to your blog from Facebook, or running it to your blog from a Facebook ad campaign. Again, what's working for you and why, and how do you do more of what's working and less of what is not working? All right, so let's
go back
up and grab SEO.
Right,
sorry about that. SEO, so search engine optimization, this is the organic traffic on your website. What percentage of your traffic is organic? And can it be improved? What are you doing to improve that traffic? Are you blogging? Are you adding a quality blog or 2 or 3 a month to help with your site getting indexed for keywords? What keywords send traffic to your site? Even though Google Analytics doesn't give us quite as much information on keywords as it used to, there's still ways to figure this out. And it's something you should know. How is your site performing? How does it compare to your competitors in the marketplace? Who are you competing with for keywords that might not even be a competitor of yours? So search engine optimization it's probably, to me, the most esoteric thing out there. It's part science, it's part art, and it's a lot like making soup, because there are so many different pieces of the puzzle that go into making good SEO. It's everything from how long has your domain been registered, with GoDaddy or whatever registration site you're using, to how long does it take your page to load on mobile or on desktop. And then, how long do people stay on your site? What's your bounce rate? It all factors in there. And, having a good search engine optimization company that can help you with this is critical to success today. I guess just out of curiosity, how many people on this webinar today are doing SEO on an ongoing basis? Is that something that's, important to your team and something that you look at every month? You can just say, yes, we do it, or no, we don't. I'm just curious, because it's the one thing that we still see a lot, in traffic when we're working with builders. It seems to be missing. And typically, if somebody comes and hires Denim Marketing to do blogging and social media, that within a few months, I'm recommending that they also hire somebody to do search engine optimization. So Giorgio tells us it's a large part of their ad budget. And I know some of the rest of you guys on here are also doing SEO, because I know you. I don't know that anyone else is responding, so we will keep going. So we've talked about social media. We've talked about a lot of the different things you can be measuring, but we're going to go back to, having a plan. And what are your goals? And this is important for social media, and it's important for all of your marketing tactics. So, as you're thinking about what you're doing, each piece, each post, everything you put out there, think about what is the goal of this tactic? What is the goal of this post? Am I trying to increase my website traffic? Do I want more interaction engagement? Am I looking to be transparent and authentic? Do I just want to increase brand and authenticity? More leads? Better attendance, better search engine results placements. Again, that's when you Google your name. Do you like what you see? How many of those page 1 results are your company, and are they positive? And then also reputation management, which plays into, when you Google your name, do you like what you see? So having a plan for which of these goals are the most important to your company from a marketing perspective and from a sales perspective. You've got to have this plan. And maybe you don't have anything bad in your reputation, so that's not a goal at all. So maybe your goal becomes, leads and website traffic. Those are your top 2 goals. And then your third goal is brand awareness. It's going to be different for everyone on here. And it's going to be different depending on what tactic you use and, kind of what your business model is. But understanding that, having a plan and having a goal is going to help you get results that are measurable. And I say that because I have people who come to me and they're like, oh, well, we're going to Facebook campaign just like you told us to, but nobody clicked through to our website. I'm like, okay, well, did you have a way for them to click through your website? Was there a page to capture that data? Was there a landing page? And a lot of times the answer is, oh, I didn't think about that. So, thinking it through from start to finish of what is it that you're going to measure and why and how, and then building a campaign that supports that versus just doing marketing, not by intent. Marketing madness or random acts of marketing are hard to measure. So thinking it through and having a plan is really going to help.
So we shouldn't just throw everything out there and see what sticks. Is that what you're saying?
No, probably not.
No.
Because that gets really expensive and very chaotical. So, all right. So you have a marketing plan. You've got all these reports. You need to pull things together. How do you present this to your CFO or your president of your company or whoever is going to look at it and say, oh, you're doing a great job? I'd say the biggest thing is wrapping it up into an executive summary. So, you're going to drill through a whole lot more information than they're going to be willing to read unless they're just completely a numbers geek. And that happens too. So, coming up with the charts and graphs that best support what you want to tell them, breaking down each individual tactic into a cost per action, if that's what their hot button is, but then having an executive summary. Your executive summary could just be, this month we executed 2 press releases. One of them ran in the Atlanta Business Chronicle and the other one ran on Curbed Atlanta. Our top blog post, blah, 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 just summarizing all of it. We ran an ad campaign that blah. So, a giant executive summary paragraph that tells them the highlights of that month. And then maybe even tell them some next steps based on the data that you're going to see in the charts below. We think we should X next, and here's why we think it. When you have charts and data to back up what it is you're looking for, it makes it a lot easier in most cases to get the money that you need to do that marketing. So you're not always beating your head up against the wall. Maybe you can just get 1 virtual tour up in 2020, but having the data from that virtual tour is going to help you have more budget next year for more virtual tours.
And this is why it's so important to have your CRM fed with the right information. So how much did you spend on whatever campaign it is? How much are you spending on your SEO? How much are you spending on social? Have all of that already loaded in there and have it tied to your website so we can literally see each person that's clicking through and what's converting and follow the life journey of that customer all the way through. And you don't have to create all this stuff from scratch, because if you're working with a really strong CRM, that's going to provide all of this information for you, but only if it's attached to your website.
Yeah, that is so true. And only if you're using it. So,
yes, you have to be using it. And your salespeople have to be using it, which means somebody has to hold them accountable.
Yeah, if you've got a CRM and you're not using it, you need to be using it. A lot of times, Kimberly or I will dive into a back end of a CRM system. Usually if I'm in it, it's because I'm setting up an email marketing program. You're not necessarily looking to see exactly what the agents are doing, but sometimes I go into CRM systems that, they're not even set up to do email marketing, even though they should be, and that they're capable of doing it because nobody's thought to use it that way. So having data and using data the right way is important.
I spend hours every week doing this with my customers because it's so important that they know where their money is going.
Yep. So, You know, and in 2020, we should know where our money is going because we have more metrics than ever. And I think honestly, it can be overwhelming. We have so much data out there that we can look at and digest and report on that you could really probably spend most of your time doing this. I would suggest that you set aside maybe, you know, maybe it's 2 hours, maybe it's half a day once a month to set up a report and to report on what you did the month prior, what worked and what didn't work. You know, if you have a marketing firm, that's something they should be doing for you. So if they're not, ask them to. If you are the marketing department and you don't have an agency and you need help and you want to see some examples, let me know that too, because I'm happy to help. You know, this is really where the rubber meets the road and where you prove your effectiveness as a marketer to whoever it is that is signing your checks and giving you a budget. All right, so just kind of in a review, you know, where can you find relevant marketing data? It is freaking everywhere. You know, it's in your email reports, it's in, you know, your advertising reports, it's on your website, it's in your social media. If you're using a social media kind of aggregator that you're posting from, you're going to have information and metrics there as well. So just really figure out what's important to you and what you want to know, and then go digging for that data. You know, how is the best way to report to the C-suite owners or company president? Again, I would say a summary, which even if you're creating a giant 20-page report for your information so that you can look back on it and make your decisions from it, you want to give them that top level summary. And then how do you utilize marketing analytics to make future decisions? I think once you start compiling marketing data and looking at it in a thoughtful, meaningful way on an ongoing basis, you're going to start to see those future decisions. I mean, almost every time I look at data, I see something go, oh, well, wait. Why did website traffic organic drop this month? Or, oh, look at that. This client's direct traffic is over the moon. What did they change? And we actually did have that happen. We have a client in Charleston, South Carolina, whose direct traffic has spiked for the last 2 or 3 months. And I'm like, what on earth did you do? Because, you know, direct traffic, somebody typing in your name, you know, they knew the name of this builder. And he had, before COVID hit, he had recorded a TV spot with one of the local TV stations. And because COVID hit, they hadn't been able to record a whole lot of those spots with other builders. So his spot was running over and over and over on this local TV station. And every time it ran, he got direct traffic from it, which is fantastic. And his, you know, he was getting more leads, more people calling. So knowing that, you know, seeing that and knowing the why will help you to replicate it, or help you to know if it's an anomaly that you probably can't replicate in the future. And it will help you to make better decisions for your future marketing and ask for more money for your marketing budget. So any more questions? While you guys think of questions, I'm going to see what Giorgio says now. Let's see, interesting side note. Facebook likes are not as important to us. We see people click on our links and go to our site, but not like the post. That is so true today. That's fine as long as they're going to where I send them. To me, that's more important than a like. I agree with that. You know, the nice thing about Facebook advertising is you can advertise to a group that doesn't like your page. Then because they've liked that post, you can ask them to like your page, but whether they do or not, you can continue marketing to them. And you're right, they might like the post, but never like the page. However, you know, you can also market directly to the people who like your page on Facebook. There's just so many different ways to look at it. And I guess one of, you know, my favorite ways of doing Facebook marketing has less to do with Facebook and way more to do with your website anyway. You know, if you've got the Facebook pixel installed on your website, then you can market to everyone who's been to your website, remarket to them on Facebook. And to me, that's really where the rubber starts to meet the road on Facebook, because you can really kind of follow that person through the buying cycle and continue to, you know, just show up, you know, think of me, remember me, see, here I am again, kind of stalk them all the way through Facebook. All right. Diane Beaton says, thanks, ladies. Great stuff. Love you, Diane. Oh, and she's got to go get ready for a new PWB Council launch in Florida. Can't wait to hear about that. I know there's a whole bunch of new professional women in building councils launching all across the U.S. this year. So that's phenomenal news, especially with the craziness we have going on right now.
See, business people are still doing business, even no matter what. So
yep.
We hope you will join us again. We've pared these back. We were doing them every week, but now we're only doing them once a month. So make sure you mark your calendar. The next one is going to be stop majoring in the minors and focus on what matters. So whether you're a salesperson who just feels like you're overwhelmed and in reaction mode all the time, or whether you're the CEO of the company and you're getting distracted and taken away from the focus that should be on the future. We're going to talk about techniques, tips to really figure out where you can get the most return on investment for your time and your expertise, regardless of what your position is in the company.
Yeah, and hint, this can also help you personally. So just helps you to become more organized.
So also, I wanted to invite everyone. The Southeastern Building Conference, of course, because of COVID, was unfortunately canceled in person this year, but I am presenting with Lynn Davis from InterNow, and it is free, so which it rarely is. So take advantage of that. You can go to sebcshow.com, and this is the presentation that I will be doing live. Carol, I think you have a recorded presentation that's also going to be presented through SEBC.
Yeah, I recorded Facebook is Your Friend, which digs a lot into Facebook messaging and Facebook advertising. So if you want to take a little bit of a deeper dive into Facebook, that one is recorded. Was very interested. I recorded myself on Zoom talking to myself. So hopefully it doesn't come across as too awkward, but it was a lot of fun. So yeah, SEBC and a lot of these different conferences are offering all these materials free this year. So take advantage of it.
And you don't even have to travel to get there. So
exactly.
Absolutely. So, and here's our contact information. Again, we want to thank you guys for joining us, and we're here to help you if you need our help for anything in your business. And even if it's just you have a question, feel free to reach out to either one of us. We're happy to help you. So thanks again, guys.
All right. Have a great weekend.